Associate Professor of American Film Sue Matheson writes in her book, Women in the Western. Because lingering Victorian stereotypes and 20th century gender politics make women in the Western reliable markers of cultural change in America's gender politics, refracting our actual gender values rather than presenting them as how we wish them to be, I continue to ask when watching Westerns, what about women? Western films are often brimming with depictions of masculinity, manly men doing manly things with almost exclusively other men to see who of these men is indeed the manliest. But women, in many ways, built the West. Historian of the American West, Karen R. Jones, termed the women of the Western expansion the motors of the wagon trains, saying they played a foundational role in building the American West. These high-riding women, many of whom shirked those aforementioned Victorian ideals and the traditional roles that were expected of them, functioned as essential settlers, landowners, homeowners, and community builders. They worked as miners, cattlewomen, rodeo performers, water bearers, hired guns, gamblers, dancers, performers, healthcare workers. They endured harsh conditions, extreme isolation, illness, and hardship after hardship to establish farms, manage households, raise families, and build social structures like schools and churches. All of these imperative for establishing permanent settlements. They ran boarding houses, bathhouses, laundries, and brothels. They were caretakers of the land and the livestock, and were in many ways considered pillars of these early Western communities. Director Anthony Mann said, "She is essential. Without a woman, the Western film wouldn't work. Perhaps without women, neither would have the West." It's Horses on Film. Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Horses on Film. This is the podcast, of course, dedicated to determining the top 100 Western films of all time. We're using as our list, as our guide, the list put out by IndieWire in 2024. And then from there, we're going to add and we're going to subtract and we're going to kind of get it to a place where we're happy with it. And in order to do that, I need my co-hosts. So let's bring in Dave and Scott. There they are. Welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Howdy, partner.
Howdy, y'all. Yeah. Last week, I did make one error. I wanted to thank one person that I forgot to thank. So I'm going to do that right off the top. I want to thank Michael from at Texas History Lessons on YouTube. I did a lot of research on cattle drives, and his channel was pretty valuable. So thank you to Michael at Texas History Lessons for providing a wealth of cattle drive knowledge that is now in my head forever. And we learned a lot about cattle drives watching Red River.
That's true.
One of the I just want to quickly point out, actually, and get it out of the way, is I'm watching the intro to this one, and the first thing that came to mind wasn't this our critique on There Will Be Blood, that there wasn't enough women in it?
Yeah, I mean, there is something essential about a fully rounded story having some, if not prominent, at least present female side of the story. And I thought There Will Be Blood is a beautiful film, maybe even a perfect film. In many ways, it gives the opportunity for a perfect performance at the very least. But I just thought maybe if they peppered something in there, let's see. Like, I didn't even see women crossing in the background.
It's a very male centric film.
It's a brovy.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It's one for the boys, which It's fine. Not everything is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Like sometimes
But
you do have to.
this one makes up for it.
Yes, this one for sure. And the clips in that opening intro show there's a lot of amazing female characters all throughout these films, the ones we're covering and the ones we're not covering or might cover eventually. And that last shot in that intro was actual footage of Annie Oakley, the true Annie Oakley, who lived just long enough to be immortalized on film there. So
it's funny because between her and like Calamity Jane and like all these like really there's so many famous women in the West that I'm shocked that like in the TV series Deadwood they literally have people embody these characters, and so this movie really like having the women front and center was it was actually a nice change. It was I think I have a lot to say on that.
And the last one we did, Red River, they added in a female character at the beginning, which kind of gave a good bookend to the female character at the end. And I think without one of those characters or without both of those characters, it's not as good a movie as it was.
Definitely.
And so it actually sits in the 10th place out of the 13 that we've covered. It's an average rating of 3.5. So there's a few things kind of right in that 3.5 range. I think that's a high enough grade to hang it in there.
70%.
Yeah, as we move forward, it's going to be great. But this one we're covering today is got a very strong female character, 40 Guns.
Two of them, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Two very interesting female characters. And they even talk to each other and both have names. Do they talk about someone other than a man, though? It's so close to passing the famous Bechdel test, but does it? I don't know that it.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's pretty much
they
the
talk
last
about a gun,
scene.
or do they talk about a man?
They talk about what she has to look forward to going forward in a world where, even though her husband's been killed and she's a widow now, she's still young. What Barbara Stanwyck's character says to Jessica.
I will choose to believe that she meant as a gunsmith. There
yes,
we go.
Yes.
Passes.
There. So they're talking about her future as a gunsmith, and it passes the Bechdel test. Perfect.
That's not what
all right, let's get into our feature presentation.
Yes, let's. So we'll put up a little thing here.
A little poster.
We'll set a little mood music and talk about 40 Guns. The Taming of the Arizona Territory. An authoritarian rancher rules an Arizona county with her private posse of hired guns. When a new marshal arrives to set things straight, the cattle queen finds herself falling for an avowed, nonviolent lawman. Both have itchy-fingered brothers, a female gunman enters the picture, and things go desperately wrong.
Yes, the movie today is 40 Guns, 1957. It was produced, written, and directed by filmmaker Samuel Fuller, independent filmmaker. He made Shock Corridor, The Naked Kiss, White Dog, kind of a controversial film. The Big Red One, starring Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. And his other Westerns, he kind of has a few other Westerns. One is I Shot Jesse James, which is kind of a precursor to the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, or at least another telling of the same tale. It was originally titled Woman with a Whip. It changed to 40 Guns. It stars Barbara Stanwyck as Jessica Drummond, Barry Sullivan, Dean Jagger, Don Erickson, Gene Barry, and Robert Dix. It was shot in black and white CinemaScope by Joseph Barak, who won an Oscar for The Towering Inferno. Kind of a famous cinematographer. It was filmed on location at Empire Ranch, Sonoita, Arizona, and Elgin, Arizona, which is also where they shot Red River from last episode. It's shot from April 15th to early May 1957. Only 15 days of shooting, which is short. I mean, you can do a movie in 15 days, but that's a pretty short schedule.
You did Saw and 10, and everyone's like crazy. Like it's
so pretty much one location, I think that
yeah,
one.
and like so for 15 days, that's really short, especially back
For,
then.
for a
Yeah.
movie with this much scope, 15 days is pretty short. Jidge Carroll sings 2 songs on screen. The theme song, High Ridin' Woman, written by Harold Adamson and composer Harry Suckman. And God Has His Arms Around Me, which is in the funeral scene, written by Victor Young and Harold Adamson. It was released as a B picture along with Elvis's Jailhouse Rock. So it kind of fit that they had kind of on-screen singing. When you know, people going to see Jailhouse Rock are probably pretty okay with Jidge Carroll singing along. No real awards to speak of, but praised in Europe, especially more than the US. Believe it or not, this was Fuller's 3rd film that released in 1957. He released Chinagate in May, Run of the Arrow in July, and then 40 Guns on September 10th. So pretty prolific year. This film was first recommended to me by our guest today, way back when I wouldn't stop talking about Day of the Outlaw. Our guest Kevin jumped in and said, have you seen 40 Guns? So Kevin, we're happy to have you back, returning guest.
Happy to be here.
Welcome back. You were on our Tall T episode, which I haven't looked at the numbers. I'm just going to say it's our highest rated episode.
You are absolutely incorrect.
It's one of my favorites. One of my favorites anyway. But anyway, glad to have you back. Did you find 40 Guns because of Samuel Fuller, or was it in spite of Samuel Fuller?
Actually, well, I don't know if it was directly because of Samuel Fuller, but I am a Fuller fan. Big fan of Shot Corridor. Big fan of A Naked Kiss, which I know lots of people don't like. But he's got a very distinctive voice, both in terms of I think visually, although the visually would be with him and the DP, but he's also very willing to go to the dark side of things, which for whatever reason I find appealing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he knows where to put the camera, and he puts the camera in very interesting places at times, including, I mean, the intro to this. Is this maybe the best intro to a character we've had? Like when she's riding at them and they're in that wagon and the camera's underneath. It's wild.
That's a great shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and then later the James Bond shot looking down the barrel of the gun, and it's interesting, and you know, there's even a little bit of there's the longest dolly shot that had been done to date in this. The camera's really moving. It's really dynamic.
There's that minute and a half walk and talk with the brothers and the sheriff. Yeah, there's lots of very cool visual stuff for sure. You mentioned the shot underneath the wagon. That's such a cool shot. And in 1957, no one is doing that. It's, so different for that time.
Well, and I mentioned it, actually. We were chatting about it behind the scenes. One of the things I find with the older Westerns is the camera's very static. And the first thing that I noticed about this film was how dynamic the camera was. It felt, especially for the time period, it felt very modern, and establishing. The walk and talk through the town with the pan really made me feel, oh, this is where this is, this is where this is, this is where this is. And later in the film, when that actually kind of comes up, I'm like, I can kind of visualize how this town is set up, right?
Where are you talking? Are you talking the one in the beginning when Griff is walking down the street?
Both, to be honest. Yeah.
When they're causing the ruckus.
Yeah. And it's always this especially up to date. One of my problems I have with the older Westerns is, again, the static. We set the camera, 2 characters talk. Can we move the camera? 3 characters talk. We move the camera. We watch them go into and it's just no, let's move the camera with our guys, do like a Sorkin style walk and talk. Let's do this. And I really appreciate it. I actually found myself, it brought me into the film more.
You mentioned
It's funny.
You mentioned that to me before I had had a chance to watch it, and yeah, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I agree. It's a shame that he didn't really get recognized till later in his life, because stuff like this was revolutionary, but nobody was talking about it. Whether that's because it was an independent film that he financed, or whether that was who knows what. But yeah, the movement was incredible, and even the static shots had great movement within the shots.
Yeah, it's funny too, because it's not just that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's not just that lateral movement either. It's like when Griff and Jessica are in that cabin, and we come down from above, like that long scene when they're laying down, and like there's so much movement in so many different ways that really gives you a sense of the world. It works really well.
And a famous one too is the passing the warrant down the long table.
Oh, I loved it.
Again, it's a kind of an iconic scene, and because you're on Griff and you're on Jessica, and there's something a little off about the geography. I had to watch it a few times to see if he didn't cross the axis, because he actually moves the camera to the other side of the table at one point. He could have stayed, Last Supper style and gone Griff, and then that big move down the table as they're passing the warrant. He's on this side of the table, but then when he covers Jessica, he goes to the other side of the table, but he keeps the geography accurate, so you don't cross the axis or lose your place in the world. But it's just such an interesting idea to get over there on that side with her and almost bring them closer together, knowing how long that table was.
Also with her.
Right.
You're seeing man to man to man, and they're all in their suits and they're all whatever. And all of a sudden, her at the
judges,
head of the table.
Politicians, sheriffs.
So, like, what an intro to a character.
And her and her brother too, right? Brocky's in that last when they come around, it's her and Brocky both. So yeah, it's well done.
Yeah. And I thought, one of my takeaways the first couple times, I watched it a few times, as I found it really fascinating. And then I did go down a little bit of a fuller journey. I watched Pick Up at South Street and a couple. I watched I Shot Jesse James and a few other. And I had trouble the first couple times tracking Wes and Griff and Chico, that, especially once they're all dressed the same. There were moments where I kind of lost, until I, by, the second or third time I watched it, I definitely had who was who and where was where. But even the scene where Wes is killed at the wedding, I was still unsure. Like, Brocky, I think his intention was to kill Griff, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think so.
He says, if you hadn't kissed the bride, I would have hit you instead.
Yeah. So do you think he shot Wes because Griff was the one kissing the bride, or just him moving to kiss the bride made him miss and he hit Wes?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I also kind of, I appreciated that, Jessica and Griff had so much in common, including these kind of trigger happy younger brothers that were about the same age. And they really connected over that. This like, how do you keep these kids in check that, just want to be.
You don't, apparently.
Apparently
yeah, exactly.
not. Yeah. And then, the other thing I see every now and then when, like, people are talking about this is the ending. We just got off Red River, where the ending was a little bit of a, point of contention for a lot of people at the end of Red River. This one, the first time I watched it, I was a little disappointed in Jessica. He kind of breaks her down at the end, and it's not what I was expecting of such a strong, interesting character. But this last time I watched it, I kind of felt like she broke him down too. They kind of, he's going to California. He's going to become a farmer. He's hanging the guns up. He's leaving town. He's leaving his younger brother as the city marshal and letting him be exactly what he didn't want to happen to him. He's going off. I don't know. What were your guys' thoughts on the end?
I'm going to both disagree and agree with you. So
Okay.
I'm going to disagree because I wish it would have ended with him going out of town and her being dead after being shot. To me, that would have been the ideal ending. However, to throw it back to the other show that I did with you guys, the Tall T, where at the end they go off together and you're like, yeah, that they're not like, there's no connection there. Like, I'm not buying this.
Right.
In this
Yeah.
one, I believe that if they went off together, that makes more sense. I don't want them to have that opportunity because I'm a dark-hearted bastard. But that connection makes more sense to me than the ending fade in Tall T.
I really did love a couple things about him not killing her. I love that he's so good with his gun. He's a surgeon, and they said, "You're lucky that was Griff Bonnell because he put it exactly where he wanted it. He put that bullet in a way so you wouldn't die." And like just the way he walked by her and was just like, "Get a doctor, she'll be okay." Like he knew. I did like that like surgical precision that he had with a gun. I did appreciate that. The other thing too, there was the scene with her lawyer where she essentially surrendered her empire to the government. And he's like, well, the government can overlook the tax money that you held on to because they made more tax money than they would have if you weren't here. I feel like she had nothing left. I feel like she kind of handed her empire over to the state or to the federal government in a way where her life as she knew it was done, and she had the ability, and he was thinking, she doesn't want me. It's not that I don't want her. She doesn't want me. And he was prepared to leave without her. And then she runs down and hops in the wagon and they go off together. This very last time watching, it left a little bit of a different taste, a better taste in my mouth than the previous.
Because that point with the lawyer is kind of where I felt it. I don't want to say it fell apart, but it seemed to speed up a lot. And similarly to Red River, the ending was very abrupt to me in that it could have, this is 80 minutes, I think it was
80 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, how often do I say, I wish it was a shorter film? This one, I could have seen it have another 5-10 minutes in that. And most of that time being in that last 10 minutes of the film, just to give it a little bit more flesh in that. And I think it did her a real disservice in the end, because she's such a uniquely strong character at the beginning. And as the movie progressed, she morphed into this stereotypical, woman of the kitchen almost. Your 1950s housewife.
I worried about that, but he also turned into a stereotypical 1950s farmer too. Like he was willing to hang it all up too. So that's kind of where I was.
And I could get that with him because yes, you're right. But that makes sense for his character, whereas she is so strong and so unique for being that strong given this time frame.
I'm wondering if
I think it was bad that she went on that particular character arc.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the studio watched the film and went, "That's not," especially the time period.
That's
not
interesting,
the film, but when it was made.
I did pull, and I at one point I had it kind of more in my intro, but I did pull some studio notes from Daryl F. Zanuck, who was the head of Fox, or at least in control of the executive in control of this. He zeroed in on the character of the strong woman who runs an empire as especially unconvincing. He writes, it becomes too extreme when you develop the size of her dynasty, and furthermore, when you involve her in a dictatorship control over not only her own ranch, but over politicians and townspeople. Everything else, it's just too much to swallow. And that was from the studio head. Now, that's being said, this film wasn't totally made under the studio umbrella. I don't think it was a bit of an
No,
independent film.
it was an independent film. He
Yeah,
financed the
so I
whole thing
think he
himself.
kind of took all that with a little bit of a grain of salt and didn't kind of completely have to adhere to those notes. And I think he ignored those notes. I don't think the ending changed because of notes. That's my impression.
Well, in my reading, he did make the change because of notes. Like that was not the original ending that he wanted. He did make a change. I don't know. So the budget of the thing was like 300,000. So at that time, I wonder how much was his financing and how much was outside financing and how much influence the outside parties would have had. Because 300 grand even then doesn't seem like a whole lot.
No, I think we worked that out to be a little less than 3 million, a little kind of somewhere between 3 and 4 million to make this movie, which had some pretty big moments. Like not just, I mean, the amount of horses in that opening intro, the few times when her 40 guns ride through town, the destruction when the drunken guys are smashing windows and beating up the town a bit, plus a tornado, a pretty interesting, well shot tornado sequence. Yeah, which really does come out of nowhere.
3 to 4 million is like an A24 Blumhouse budget too. Like, so it's not like it's a small amount, but I do feel like every cent was spent. Like it was like, and you can kind of see it on screen. Like if you told me that was the budget for this film, I would scoff. Like it, I feel there's a lot there, and so.
What do you guys think of the on-screen music? Was that jarring? Did you notice he was singing as he was walking up the street with the buckets of water?
No, I like it.
Yeah,
I like when it's diegetic. I am a huge fan. Like every once in a while, like I think Ghostbusters has one where they go and turn off or they switch channels or something. I like when it feels like it draws me in. Actually, I think it's Blues Brothers is what I'm thinking about. Where oh no, is it Lethal Weapon when they're driving through everything and they keep changing? I can't remember. Not Lethal Weapon. Leslie Nielsen, Naked Gun.
Little different.
I really went on a tangent.
There's a journey.
But like, I like that stuff where it feels like almost like we're there with them, and we can just kind of hear their thoughts and stuff.
And it also works because you've got noir feelings to this. You've got it's a melodrama. It's a Douglas Sirk melodrama. It's a Western. It's a musical. It's a little bit of everything. Nothing stands out as not belonging because everything is there.
Yeah, and and I love that she's such a folk hero even in her own town, where every signage was the Drummond Shipping Company, every wagon that went by Drummond Lumber. Like she was so had so much control and influence and presence in this town that they're writing folk songs about her and singing them. And he even says, "Oh, you can't sing that out in the Dragoons. You have to sing it here in town," kind of thing. So I love that kind of character building.
It's like, is American Gangsters the one where it's like Bumpy Johnson or something like that? And he's like, I'm mixing films again, but like where we know you're a gangster, we know how you get your money, but you're a really good guy to our neighborhood or our town, whatever. And so we kind of turn an eye to it.
Yeah, definitely. And the way that she sent the sheriff out to areas near the border and all kind of over the Arizona county to collect on these taxes and do all these things that were maybe a little unscrupulous and maybe were a little bit not on the level, but there was just no, I mean, the marshal was basically blind. There was nobody that was like gonna stand up to them.
At the beginning of the movie, she was a hell of a mob boss. Like she really had that vibe, which, as I said earlier, she lost. I had the thought that if her character had been a man, he would not have gone on that same character arc.
No.
He would have started the same place and ended very differently, not counting, the fact that there was a love interest aside, because that obviously would not have flown in 1950.
Right.
But just the personal arc, the softening, I don't think would have happened.
I think this film would have been like Western Scarface if it was a man.
Yeah.
Like that, he would have just been like, look, as I get more power, right? Like,
because men don't grow and change; they just self-destruct.
Further to that,
it softened a little bit, and he might have given up to the government and all of that. But
or like a Goodfellas or something.
Yeah,
well, it is kind of like what Cam was saying earlier, though. It doesn't. I think to a certain point, it makes sense that both of them end up where they do because they've kind of gone the same path. They both lost younger brothers to the lifestyle that they've perpetuated over time. They're both getting older. They both are realizing that the world is a changing world, and things are going to. They either have to change with the world, or they're going to get passed by. Maybe not so much her because she's got such an empire, but I think their two arcs coming together doesn't not make sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm gonna jump a little ahead of our kind of scheduled programming, but The Furies is an Anthony Mann Western that I make reference to in the intro there, and I think I'd bring it up later as a off the list. I'd love to do an off the list episode on The Furies, but in The Furies, you see a character in Walter Hewson's TC, who I think is TC, who is very much in a similar position as this Barbara Stanwyck character, kind of controlling the empire. He's a cattleman. He's legendary. There's songs written about him. And by the end of that movie, he is sort of torn down. Interestingly, he's torn down by his daughter, who's played by Barbara Stanwyck. She's playing again another very strong, powerful character who finds a way to kind of dethrone her own father in a kind of a Shakespearean sort of way. But I think that movie came out 7 years prior to this one. It's an example of something where a male character in this position does kind of come down off the top rung to a certain extent. So I don't know if you did a bit of a gender swap and a woman, Griff was a woman, came into town, affected a man in charge of this territory. Same thing where they lose a sibling. I could see it playing out in a similar way. It's possible.
I think a lot of the plot is the fact that it's a lady weaponsmith comes up a lot. So I'd be curious how that changes if it was gender swapped. But
yeah, I do love that she was very knowledgeable and
strong.
some incredible writing. I've never kissed a gunsmith. Any recoil, I love that.
Well, he's
CSI Cochise County.
Yeah.
Ballistics.
Yeah, and
how
literally,
often do you see a woman in overalls?
Yeah,
in this time frame, full stop. Never mind, just the Western.
And she looked fantastic. And he even said, again, another great line. I'd love to stay around long enough to clean her revolver or whatever. He said.
So much of it.
Clean her rifle. Yeah, like it's.
Are you trying to say there's double entendres in this movie?
I would
triple entendres with how many there are. Like
I'm an innocent boy. I don't know what they're talking about. But
Cam, at one point we were chatting, he's like, "This might be the horniest Western I've ever seen."
Oh yeah,
I was just like, like
after Kevin
might go off in your face.
Yeah.
Like
it's your trademark.
How I'm pitching the MPAA watching this, being like, "What do we got here?" Like it's just like
way over their heads. Went right over their heads.
Wait a minute. Can we see her ankle? Oh, this is an R-rated film for sure. So,
well, my very first Letterboxd review of it after Kevin recommended it to me was, I love a capital H horny Western. And that's what this is. It really is. And that's that's Fuller. You know, Fuller has a way of, you know,
100%.
digging it into the he bakes it so deep into his dialogue that it can't get cut around. It can't exist without it. And
I appreciate it so
yeah,
much. And
it's
like,
fantastic.
as we go on this journey, this one stands out in my mind. Like, it really does. Like, I'm like, not only just because the technical and the writing and all this stuff, but also like I'm like, whoa, okay. It's Howdy Doody After Dark. Okay.
Have you seen other Sam Fuller stuff, Scott?
I have not.
Okay.
If it's not on the list,
you-
I have not. I have not seen, especially the older films.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well,
I'm fascinated to see more. Don't get me wrong. If this is my intro to it, but
he's definitely a director that I the only one that I had seen prior to this was The Big Red One, which is kind of a autobiographical kind of tale of him. It's a World War II picture.
yeah,
he's a wild character. He was a newspaper boy, became a copywriter, worked all in the newspapers, and then joined the army. And they said, "Oh, you know, we need newspaper men." And he's like, "No, give me a rifle, put me on the front line." And he was what was he, his late 30s or early 30s, and he's in the trenches with 18-year-olds because he wanted to be front lines. And this character name he uses again and again, Griff, was one of the guys in his battalion that didn't make it out of World War II, and he shows up. That character name is in like 7 or 8 of
Something
his
like that, yeah.
films.
Which I
yeah,
love. I absolutely love
yeah.
that.
Why
It's a
not?
great
You know,
little
and
Easter egg before Easter eggs were a term.
absolutely. And I love that he, you know, if you ever get a chance to watch him interview, or there's some very nice documentaries about him, he's just a wild man. He's absolutely wild, and was making movies outside of this studio system, just brash and bold and interesting. And I've really enjoyed this little kind of Fuller journey that I've been on this last couple weeks, and I would still say this one is my favorite of all of them. There is, however, one I rated higher. I'll get to that later, but very interesting look at corruption in these towns. And one of my favorite scenes is when she shows up to bail her brother out, and that little kind of kangaroo court that happens so quickly. I don't know if I'd ever seen anything like that, quite like that in a Western.
And that was part of my complaint about it ending really abruptly. Was it just like, and court's done, and now court's done, and you're dead.
Yeah, you know, there were moments, and I would say it's not the finest edited movie. There were moments of kind of jarring geography too, where the you know, they arrested, he had his warrant for the first guy, the guy that brought him to town. They took him off to prison. While he was in prison, it looks like the sheriff went to him with an envelope of cash and said, "Take this money, get out of here, start over." But it was a ploy to have Charlie Savage pick him off. When he doesn't take the money, Savage picks him off. And then they cut right from that to the sheriff talking out on the Dragoons, talking to Jessica. And then they cut right back to the jailhouse, and the sheriff is back in the jailhouse again. Like, I did find there were moments where, you know, even when Griff finally arrests the brother and he finds him hiding under the table, he goes out to that hiding spot and Jessica's already there. You know, the camera moves and she just jumps into the back corner of the room and said, you know, I'll do anything to get him, you know, save him from the rope, kind of thing. And I really do feel like there were very jarring, not jump cuts, but going from scene to scene really stretched our ability to track where these characters are across a big distance.
There's a bunch of deleted scenes that went back into the 4-hour cut of this. That's why.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yes, I'd like to see the 4-hour cut of this.
I would watch a 4-hour cut of this. I like to
could-
say it's one of the few where I would watch a longer version of it.
Release the
Yeah.
Snyder cut.
Give me the fuller cut.
Give me
Yeah.
the full cut. Yeah.
So would the Snyder cut be in color then?
Ha!
Yeah, well, they'd have to colorize it. Yeah,
No,
Um,
no, it wouldn't. It would just be darker black and white.
yeah.
More inky
Even
black.
harder to see.
Yeah.
And Jared Leto is still playing the Joker, but like it's.
Oh, well.
He would
And
play
they changed one
Chico.
of the two ladies' names to Martha.
Even actually, that's a scene. When the sheriff sets up Griff to get gunned down by Charlie Savage in that like plus 15
The
that
window,
he walks
yeah.
under and down the window. Chico, they put Chico on the stage first, and he said, like they go to him and they say, okay, Charlie Savage wants to meet you in this alley to have a showdown. And there's no real sense of urgency. He's like, okay, I'll meet him, but I'm going to put my brother on the stage first. I'm going to get him out of town first.
Mhm.
Who knows how much time passes there where these guys had to wait for this ambush. He gets his brother on the stage. He's out of town. And then there's that little moment where his brother does he hops the stage and comes back and kills him. And there's this whole thing. They kind of quickly explain it later, but I did find it a little jarring that he was suddenly off the stage and back. He's like, oh yeah, when I heard that they were looking for you, I jumped the stage.
And
That was one of the strips at the end of the one-liner that said to be scheduled, and then they ran out of time.
Yeah, perhaps there was stuff left
Yeah.
unshot in 15 days of shooting. That
also like when he shoots the guy and he's all like, "I just killed the guy," and it was like, that's a weird response. Like
he was pretty excited, but he
was
also
golly, I
trained.
can't wait to kill another one. Like he's
He
just
was
like,
trained by these guys who were top guns, and he just wanted to be like his older brothers, right?
He's one of the guys now.
Yeah, and he got his black suit and his little bolo tie because of it.
That's another thing we haven't talked about is how the ladies are dressed black and white. Like again, like it's a trope, but I liked it here, and I don't know why this one I'm giving a pass, where I might have criticized other films for it. Maybe because of the nature of it, but it is very much a black and white, and then the guys are running around and they're kind of almost shades of gray, where they're like, we know whose team they're on, but like I don't know. There's a lot to like about this film, is what I'm saying, but like in ways that are unexpected.
Jessica looked fantastic.
Oh no, not criticizing what they're. I like that they really. Yeah.
I've said it before. I'm obsessed with a white horse. I think it was, a combination of the Lone Ranger and maybe my Playmobil toys as a kid. My hero always rode my white horse with the black saddle and the black bridle,
I'm picturing Cam being like, and then he rode in on a pale horse, and Cam's like, "Oh my!"
Yeah. I got the vapors when
I got the vapors. What are you going to do there?
Riding that beautiful white horse, even in the tornado scenes. There is a story that she was 49 years old when she shot this, going on 50, and she did that stunt herself where she got dragged. The story I keep hearing is that the stunt person didn't want to do it, they felt it was dangerous. I don't buy that for a second. I've never met a stunt performer in my life that would ever put an actor in danger if they felt it was dangerous. So it's more likely that they thought, Fuller was probably like, we're going to be close enough. I want to see her face and we'll find a safe way to do it. And she was a trooper.
Apparently she did it 3 times too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And even just that horse rearing and stuff, that is very dangerous stuff, but she was a pretty accomplished rider and was willing to jump in there. And
granted, they did do many things then that they would never get away with now.
Absolutely. I think the no animals were harmed came in the 1968. So
I was
we
gonna
were
say,
still
I didn't see that at the end of this movie. I'm not sure if
no,
that's the thing.
we were still a ways away from on-set practices that we
Yeah.
have become accustomed to. But
I was thinking
yeah,
about
no,
that when we did Red River. I was like, huh, okay.
yeah, there was sort of there was certainly an early period of horse safety and animal safety that was not necessarily required by studio, but was budgetarily not possible, just because there was only so many horses that could do what you needed to do, and only someone was paying for these horses to be there, and but there is a little bit of a window, kind of a dark window, pre 1968, where safety was not the top priority on set.
I was watching the commentary to the movie Seven, and very early on, there's a scene where a lot of cockroaches are used. If you've seen the movie, I don't want to, whatever. And in the commentary, they were talking about how every one of the cockroaches were found because of stuff they're like, not a single one was hurt. They were all.
Doesn't it actually list the cockroach wrangler in the credits on that?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah. No, he legitimately counted. He was like, nope, we got them all. We're good. They had to build a set to keep animal protection is in all forms is. But that was one of the ones where I was like, huh, okay. I don't think I'd go that far. But
the cockroach is a noble animal, so we got to take care of it.
Well, it'll outlast all of us. So
yeah, if we don't take care of it, who will? Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Alien.
Should we get to our counts? Are we too early on that, or you guys have any other kind of?
One of the things
I just want to say, Barbara Stanwyck is like so good. Like, I don't know if you guys are Double Indemnity fans. Double Indemnity is one of my favorite movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
The back and forth with her and Griff in that first conversation in her dining room, I'm like, this speed and everything is right out of Double Indemnity. I'm like, it's 10 years after Double Indemnity, 12 years, whatever it is. And I'm like, she's still nailing this like there's no tomorrow. She's so good.
She brings an extra level of Hollywood royalty to
100%.
all these, even some of the lesser pictures, like I think Cattle Queen of Montana, and some of these ones where she does, and yeah, her nickname I think was Queen, because she was just in control at all times. And I don't know if there's another actress in this period that could have played this role. I don't know who plays a role like this now. She's a force, she's an absolute.
It almost it reinforces the believability of her having these men under her sway, because you can just see her talking to Griff and you're like, yeah, I can see how these other guys are listening to her, because she's a powerful personality. She's well spoken. She's not backing down from anything. And like that's the kind of person that earns respect, right?
And she, like, what I found as well is every time she delivered a line, I believed her. Like there's a confidence of like, oh no, not only do I belong here, you belong where you are. Like,
I absolutely love. I mean, that scene I mentioned where she bails her brother out, and they do that quick kangaroo court, and she's out of there. As soon as they're out in the Dragoon, she tears her brother down. Like, she gives him a dressing down, and it's so well written and so well performed. The sheriff that is desperately in love with her, she just absolutely tears him apart in a couple of occasions. That scene where she writes him a check to leave town, it's heartbreaking. That's as anyone who's ever been in love with someone who's not in love with them, like that is just a heartbreaking moment, and you can see why his story takes the path that it takes. And again, another kind of Fuller being dark in these or willing to go dark in these things. You're right. I'm surprised that the ending doesn't go as dark as it could.
But two other things about the sheriff. So do you guys know the sheriff from anything else? Ned Logan, do you guys know Dean Jagger from anything else?
He was on TV, right? Was he Gunsmoke?
Yeah. So the thing that I know him, another one of my favorite movies at least a holiday movie, White Christmas. He's the general in that movie at the beginning and later on in the movie, and he's he's in charge of these men, but he's got a warm heart. So I see him on here and I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the warm heart, and then he turns out to be like the exact opposite of that, right? Like he's not super dark, but he's not that good guy that's
he's
there
kind of
to
a
do the right
toady.
thing. What's that?
Yeah, he's kind of a
He's kind of a-
stuttery snake.
Yeah, he's a toady. He's kind of one of
Yeah.
those stooges. So yeah.
And then you're
Yeah,
talking,
and
we talked a lot about the visual stuff, but there's a lot of cool sound design in here too. And one of the things is when she hands him that check and then he leaves the room and he leaves Griff and her, and you can see him walking away and he drops the check and you can hear that check hit the ground. And I'm like, oh, that's such a cool little touch. Like there's that, and there's a couple other things when his boots are hitting the wall before they know what the noise is.
Yeah, and they're like, "What's that sound?" And it's nothing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it just keeps going. That
like a Hitchcockian, let your mind do the work. Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, it definitely, again for 1957, it doesn't talk down to the audience in any way. It's a very modern, mature, interesting, sexual, dark movie in many ways. I'm very impressed with it. Very like,
if you had said this movie was made 10 years later, hell, even today, with this idea of it's a throwback to this time period, but it's using modern tropes and modern techniques, I'd believe you. I really would.
Yeah, and I think a lot. I mean, Fuller's point of view, it can be seen through kind of all his work that I've seen so far. I've been kind of devouring it lately. I wouldn't say I'm I'm definitely not an expert in him, or it's not a filmmaker I was even overly familiar with until I started kind of digging into him recently. But every one that I've seen, there's been at least one thing in it that I'm shocked he got away with at the time. Like I think he, and when you look at other filmmakers that are kind of in that same realm of pushing the envelope, I'm sure they all show up. Like Jim Jarmusch shows up in the documentary about Fuller, and you kind of go, oh yes, I see this direct line between, this movie and I Shot Jesse James and Dead Man and some of these things. So it's impressed me, and it's definitely Fuller's a director I want to dig more into, especially the noir stuff that I'm only kind of barely scraping the surface on.
And sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I've been talking a lot. I feel bad.
You're here.
With Fuller, it's a lot of people being influenced by him too. Did someone already say about the gunshot or the gun barrel thing being the Bond thing, right? But it's also Godard did it in Breathless when Gene Seberg's looking through the rolled up poster, and when Griff is coming at the very beginning to knock out Brocky at the very beginning in the street there. That those close-ups on his eyes are very Sergio Leone, right? Man with no name kind of stuff. So that stuff has translated down the line very obviously with many other directors too.
Yeah, another thing I like about that gun barrel thing is it would be easy to ignore a character like Wes in this because the Griff and Jessica story is so kind of prominent, and that's really what you're paying your ticket for. The gunsmith and Wes and Chico storylines could easily have been kind of shelved, but there's a lot of really nice scenes with Wes and even the some of the other townsfolk and the Jidge Carroll role. You really it's a very lived in city, or town. Like it really feels like these characters really exist and kind of have relationships and know each other from the past, and the conceit that he's there for a warrant and the telegraph he sends his father, and all these things just kind of really feel real and well thought out. And that scene where Wes zeroes in on her, and then they pull through, and he's right in there kissing her. It really is that, like, I got my eyes on it. I got my target on you. This gun thing brought me to town, but it's you that's making me stay, kind of thing. And I really enjoyed
It's a
all those
motif.
storylines. Yeah. There's nothing bad to be said about any of that section of the movie. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to. One of the more and more we talk about, especially, is I think I would love to see a noir, one of his noirs. If this is the sensibility, I feel a genre I enjoy more. I might get more out of it. But fantastic, love the film.
Well, let's get to our counts. Let's jump into Horses on Film count. And this one literally has a number in the title. So we're a little spoiled, but what are you guys thinking? Dave, let's start with you on horses.
Oh, it's all the horses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everyone's got one. They're part and parcel. You can't have this film without horses.
Mm-hmm.
You can, but it would be a shallow shell of what it is.
Yeah.
Without the horses.
Yeah, Kevin, you agree? All the horses?
I didn't know if I was going to go all the horses, but I was definitely going to go lots of horses. Like there's the 40 guns plus Jessica right off the bat, plus the 2 that are pulling that wagon that Griff is in. There's a lot of horses. I'm between Lotsa and all of the.
I could see that. Yeah, we don't really lose count, but only because they tell us in the title.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the scenes where they're charging into town to bail out the brother, and the scenes where they're charging out of town when she's giving the dressing down to the sheriff, and they're walking between the 2 lines, and all the horses are tied up.
Well, and it starts with a really, like, all the horses right out of the gate.
Thunderous.
It seems like more than 40.
It really, I would love to pause it and count and just see
Isn't Vortex the one to do this?
Because at the time, like, it was called Woman with the Whip. At the time, it got the title later.
Does she ever have a whip? Does she ever have a whip?
Yep. Oh yeah, she has a whip.
Yeah.
She has a whip on her hip.
When did she have the whip?
She never whips anyone, but I think she's got it on her. Well, she gives her horse a pretty good smack when they're heading out.
All right
Before the tornado. Scott, you agree? All the horses?
Yeah. Well, like, and it's so. If I made any faces while we're doing this, I think was because I think we've only said all the horses to one other thing, and I can't remember what that is, but it was
Dances with Wolves, for
yeah.
sure, and
because of all the and I was like,
Blazing Saddles got all the horses too.
Oh, I wasn't on that one.
That's right.
Oh no, I'm just but like, if this might be on the tail end of all, like, if it's 25, it'll be on the tail end of the low end of all the horses, or the high end of some of the horses, right?
You actually have gradations numerically?
In my head, I do. It's not really, because there's only four things.
I've said before,
this
might not work.
If you're around 25, it's some. If you're on 50, it's lots.
No, more of just in my kind of maybe in my head. But like, I compare. It's more of if I put it on a list, where would I put this on a list compared to the other films we've done?
All right.
Maybe that's like,
it's definitely on the high end of horses.
100%.
100%. Yeah. How about ratings? Let's start with Kevin on ratings. What do you think?
Well, much like last time, my rating will be different than my Letterboxd rating, because on Letterboxd I'm not a nice man. So on Letterboxd I'm 3.5, and I would have to go 4 for this milieu. It's so good. Like, I'm not gonna say it's perfect. You've talked about the editing choices. Dave, you had some reservations, and I'm totally not disagreeing with any of that. So it's not going to get a 5 or even 4.5, but I'm super comfortable giving it a 4.
Yeah, I think 4 is a very, very fair, based on what we've said already. How about you, Dave? Where are you at?
I give it a 4 as well. There's definitely a world out there in the multiverse where there's a cut of this film that's a 4.5.
Mm.
Like,
the 4-hour cut.
Yeah.
The 4-hour cut. Yeah, exactly. The Snyder cut of this.
4.5-hour cut gets a 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as it stands, like I said, there's just those handful of things that are just like, but mostly it's a great film. Like I almost feel bad only giving it 4.
And yet Unforgiven. Okay.
Yeah. Compared to Unforgiven, let me tell you, that's a good one.
If Clint Eastwood was a woman, I would have gave Unforgiven a 4. No.
Where are you at, Scott?
So this entire time, I've been waffling between 3.5 and 4. And I think the biggest difference for me is would I watch this again? And this is maybe one of the times where the length actually, I went, yeah, this isn't, there's longer episodes of Game of Thrones. Like it's just like, it's so like, yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Again, I'm amazed at how modern a lot of these techniques feel in this film, like that. And more as we go down this list, I'm realizing it's the technical side that I'm having issues with the older films, not the dialogue and script. I feel like some of the older ones, if there was more pan and dolly zooms, something more kinetic to keep me just not just standing there like I'm picturing like
a lot of that too is the limitations of the gear.
I agree.
The cameras, you couldn't have put it on a steady cam back then. Like these cameras were big, heavy things. There was a big canister, like it just it wasn't feasible. But it's innovation like this that makes you go, oh, the camera can move,
Oh, it's funny because you're saying all that, and I'm picturing like Sam Raimi with like running with it on the through the woods for Evil Dead, where it's just like, yeah, we can do this. But no, when I review the films, I try to keep that stuff in mind. And that's one of the reasons why a 4 came to mind, is because for its time, it's doing a lot of really crazy stuff. I don't know if it's the first, but it's the first I've noticed and seen from this time period or what we've done. So
certainly of what we've covered. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is CinemaScope, right?
Yeah. It was black and white CinemaScope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were worried about the CinemaScope on those close-ups. They thought people wouldn't understand what they were looking at if they got too close on such a wide image. I think a lot of establishing rules is breaking rules, and we've seen it before with the Conrad Hall episode that we did already, where a lot of these rules were made to be broken, and this is a good example of it. I'm also in a situation where that 3.5 versus 4 has been my journey throughout this thing, and on Letterboxd currently I have it at 3.5 also. But it was this last watch, and the only thing keeping it at 3.5 was really that question I had about the ending, about did they downgrade her experience, what of his experience, where they set out to establish this strong, independent, powerful woman of the West. Did they in the end go against that? And it was this last watch where I really felt that they didn't, that I really feel that they found a way to give it an ending that lived up to who she was. She was so strong and so powerful and so independent. She was willing to walk away from it all. And I don't know why it didn't click until this last one, but I was just really paying close attention to Griff riding that wagon out of town and the way he stopped it and looked at her. And they're pretty small in the frame because the camera's moving away from them, or I feel like it is anyway. And she gets on, and I just felt like my concerns of the ending were alleviated. So I'm also at 4. So we got 4s across the board.
One of us.
It's a 4 party. It's a 4 party, and I love it. I love it.
I think this is the first time we've all ever agreed. Actually, now I think about it,
I think so.
Yeah, this could be really bad for ratings. That we all, if we cared, we all kind of feel pretty positively, and I think it's a testament to this visionary director.
Compared to a lot of the films we've done, this again, the length of this one feels like the cost to watch this is quite low. Like your barrier to this is like, oh, I don't have 4 hours to watch Dances with Wolves, or I don't have 2.5 hours to watch John Wayne ruin a movie. But like it's but I have 80 minutes to like watch these two women really show what women can do in the West. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not, right? Like, again, there's longer episodes of Stranger Things. Like it's just like this is like I feel this is an easy recommendation. Like just watch this.
It is, and it was recommended to me by Kevin, and just also even the fact that it was like, oh, it's free on Tubi, it's free on Plex. I actually found a version of it on YouTube. Actually, I watched a bit of the YouTube version, and I don't know, maybe this is a thing. Maybe I'm a little out of touch. I feel like there was almost an AI filter on, like I almost feel like someone threw it through an AI filter to like try to upscale it.
Yeah,
because
that's
I
normal.
felt like their faces were like changing proportions and stuff. Have you
I've seen something like that as well.
Okay. So anyway, I wouldn't recommend seeing it on YouTube, but it is on there, and I love that, something like this, which could feel, it's a independent, non-award winning Western from the 50s, but it has not disappeared. It is around, it's available. It's an easy watch. It's an easy recommendation. It's pretty exciting.
There is a Criterion edition, so someone must like it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like the Reservoir Dogs comes to mind a lot while I watched it. Like there's this like quick easiness to it if Cameron has time to watch it 14 times this week, you have time to watch it once.
That is true. I did watch it. I think I watched it 4 times, and then of course watched other pieces of it a few more times. But that's me. I don't do what I do. This is getting out of hand.
I'm just waiting for the Cameron to tell us his fan edit. So
yeah, I don't have a fan edit. No. But I am curious if there's more footage, because it does, like we pointed out, it does seem to kind of hop around. Now, how about off the list? Is there any other thing off the list? I mentioned already The Furies, which is a kind of a noir Western as well. Kevin, is there anything else jumping out at you?
So I think the last time I was on, I recommended something and it led off by saying, I'm not sure if it's a Western. I'm not sure if this is a Western either. And it's a very recent film. There's no way it would be on this list because it's a 2025 film. But just, it's a movie that is very much a story, at least in part. This was 40 Guns, at least, is in part a story about Griff, like I said earlier, coming to terms with the changing world. And if he doesn't change with the world, he'll be left behind, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I don't, have you guys seen Train Dreams?
Yeah.
No. Isn't that
so Train Dreams, right? Joel Edgerton's character going through his life and gets the realization where this is not the world that I know. And he feels kind of left behind by what's happened with the world. And that is kind of the same as Griff's story. He's at this point where he's like, I've been this guy, and this guy that I am is not compatible with where the world is or is going.
Yeah.
And it just kind of gave me a little bit of the same feeling. And I love Train Dreams. It's one of my favorite movies from last year. So the more people I can get to watch Train Dreams, even though everyone knows the name now, because it got 4 Academy Award nominations, I think,
nominations,
including Best Picture, which is very cool because it's a tiny little film. Like Have you watched it,
it's
Cam?
slow and pretty. I did watch it. I at first I was all excited. I'm like, oh, it's Owen Lars Jin Urso fan fiction. You know, I kind of felt like, what would happen if these two Star Wars characters lived in the Old West? You know, but yeah, I love a slow and pretty Western. I love a slow and pretty movie. I said earlier that Eastern Western that was at the film festival in Calgary this year, very similar to those kind of Terrence Malick kind of cuts, and Train Dreams definitely has that Terrence Malick
Very
kind of
Malicky. Oh yeah.
yeah, and that's everything I liked about it, but I didn't really connect with it, and
Really?
I which is surprising because it really feels like it's up my alley.
Right.
So I am going to watch it again. I was expecting it to be one of my favorite movies of the year, and it was kind of an also ran.
Really?
It didn't crack my top 10, mostly because K-pop Demon Hunters was my favorite movie of the year,
Well,
and that threw off
I
the
haven't
whole
seen it.
algorithm.
If I
It's
watched K-pop, maybe it'd be my favorite too. I haven't seen it. So
you eventually you will watch it, and
how long is it? Is it 80 minutes?
I bet you it's less. I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to spend that's another podcast.
Have you guys
where
seen K-pop?
Have you guys seen it?
Hunters?
No, I've seen
Not yet.
Yeah, Brittany kept pausing the part with the cat and being like, "You got to see this." So I've seen that bit.
Okay,
But-
it is. I mean, obviously, it's not. I'm not the target market of this movie. It was
95 minutes, by the way.
Okay, 95. It was made, for children, but it is so steeped in Korean lore and tradition, and the idea that it definitely has a title that makes it seem a little bit too accessible for adults. It doesn't have a title that, if it was called like The Whole Moon or something like that, you might go, oh, this is a beautiful movie about a particular thing. K-pop Demon Hunters is exactly what it is, which is what you have to do when you title a movie for kids. But anyway,
I actually really, what took me aback about K-pop Demon Hunters is when I found out that it was the animated version of Parasite. It was weird. So.
Well, Koreans definitely have a very interesting culture. We are going to get to a Korean film on this list eventually. But
Kevin's like, what?
What is that?
The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. Which
yeah.
Also kind of has that kind of Korean sense of humor, and I really appreciate it. Anyway, why are we talking about that? We were talking about Train Dreams, and it is one I want to watch again if I ever stop watching K-pop over and over. But it is I'm very glad to see it in conversations of awards and stuff, because I think it is deserving, especially for what it's I think cinematography it was up for. And the fact that there's 10 Best Picture nominations to me now almost feels like too many. That's
I feel it's 5 that are actually make sense, and then the other 5 are just like, look, we nominated the stuff you wanted us to nominate. Like
that's exactly what it is.
It's 100% what it is. So you can be like, oh, I have seen one of the it's never going to win. It'd be like
F1 bros are like, oh, look at F1. It's
I like F1.
Absolutely, it's a great film, but it's not a Best Picture.
No, it's not a Best Picture. No, but I enjoy it. It was funnier than I thought.
Technically, it's very, very.
Oh
amazing.
Yeah, all his films.
Yeah, but
one
I'll mention.
One of my favorites. So.
Oh yeah. I'll mention another Fuller movie that I watched, and I found it on Internet Archive. The Baron of Arizona. Have you guys seen The Baron of Arizona?
No,
I've heard of it.
Vincent Price.
That's why I heard about it.
It's a wild movie, and again, another one of these movies from Fuller that make me go, "Where did this come from? Like, what is it?" And I had to look, and it's essentially a true story. The storyline is essentially this man walks up to a little adobe hut in the desert and says, "Oh, you have this young girl with you that you took in. I'm here to tell you she is the heir to this land that is Arizona. And she's the Baroness of Arizona, and I have all the paperwork to prove it." And then he goes off on a journey, essentially, and this isn't a spoiler because they tell it in the opening scene. He essentially forges all this documentation to say that she was decreed Arizona by the Spanish king in the 1700s, and he goes and lives in a monastery for 3 years just so that he can like gain access to the original documents so he can forge them in his favor, and then eventually goes back and marries this woman and has to tell all these Arizona landowners, Jessica Drummond probably included, that they don't own the land that they think they own, that it's all belongs to this young woman, and that was by decree of the King of Spain 200 years ago. And at one point, again, not necessarily a spoiler, but the government offers him $25 million for Arizona, and kind of what happens from that point on is pretty incredible.
Could you imagine just showing up at a farm being like, you got to manifest your destiny somewhere else? Like he's just like,
and it, like there's no justice like mob justice, and it was full on Simpsons level mob justice where they were like, why, oh my goodness, this cat has its own Netflix special where it's gonna climb a building live.
It's the same one from Happiness Patrol too. So
oh yeah. It's a crossover cat. Anyway, I thought Baron of Arizona was very fascinating. Another Western that I watched kind of akin to this was Last Train from Gun Hill. I don't know if it's necessarily list worthy, but I'm going to recommend it to anybody who's watching Westerns. Last Train from Gun Hill, 1959. It was just sort of weird and weirdly fascinating. And again, I like any time where, sometimes I love a very, very simple Western with clear lines, and sometimes these kind of gray areas of where they let corruption bleed into their decisions is fascinating and feels very modern even in 1959 Western. So those would be the two for sure. And again, I'm going to say The Furies, Anthony Mann. If you haven't seen it, it's incredible. So yeah, list worthy is our other thing. The 40 Guns. I think we all gave it a 4. I think we all feel.
Yeah, I think it's going to move up on the list.
Yeah, I think it is. Where's it at right now?
What's the number on the
52
wire?
52. So it's sort
of
higher.
Yeah, 52.
It'll go up. I think it'll go up, and
go up.
I appreciate so much about it that I can't imagine it being that high. I think it's gonna go, or low. I guess it's gonna go high. Next episode, we're going to my lucky number, my date of birth, number 79. This is my hockey number. It's 2023's The Settlers, which is one I had not seen until it came up for us to do here. It's Chilean director Felipe Galvez, stars Camilo Aranchiba, and Heinz Kradiger, a few other folks. It's not a very big cast. 101 minutes. It's streaming on Mubi. Is it called Mubi? M-U-B-O. In Canada and the US. I got the 7-day trial because I used to have Mubi a few years ago, and I don't have it anymore. So I did a little 7-day trial on that. Very interesting, very violent, very historically significant movie about Patagonia, South America. Have any of you guys seen The Settlers?
No, not yet, but I'm about to.
All right, well, we'll see it for next episode, so in 2 weeks. Dave, where in the world can we find you?
You can find me all over the YouTubes. I'm everywhere. Sundays, you can find me on Spill the Geek T at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of every month, along with Cam and Scott on Happiness Patrol, youtube.com/@happinesspatrolshow. And in between all that, youtube.com/TheRattleDOTCA. That's my channel where I do gaming stuff, mostly board games. That's therattle.ca, but YouTube does not like URLs in their URLs. Scott, where can we find you?
Breakfast Scotch National. As I slowly try to make sense of the chaos we currently find our world in. Pawn and Pixel should be, by the time you see this, the first episode of what I got going and brewing there. That's the big ones. Between that, I also do the Happiness Patrol with Dave and Cam, and I've been enjoying that a lot as well, as we get to dive into Star Wars, something I love. There's a Western for you. So
drink.
Everything is Star Wars. So nothing but Star Wars. Kevin, let's keep passing this along. Kevin, where do we find you?
No one finds me anywhere. I got nothing. Not on any other podcasts. I'm not on social media. The little thing at the bottom, letterbox, that's the only place you'll ever see anything that proves I exist.
That's not true. Heartland.
Oh, well, yes, that too.
Frying up grub on Heartland for sure.
That's right.
And I've already penciled you into upcoming episodes. So if anyone out in the world wants to see Kevin, he's going to be right here on
Perfect.
on Horses on Film. And the episode I penciled you in for is a top 5. It's a top 5 on the list. So it's
moving up in the world.
Yeah, we've gone from 52 to actually it's number 3. You're going up to
Excellent.
number 3. Yeah, I'm here. I'm on Letterbox, Cameron Chapman. You can read all of my K-pop Demon Hunter reviews. I really get into it. Justice for Rumi, and no. I honestly, when I made my list of my favorite movies of 2025, it was a no-brainer. That was, I really enjoyed a lot of movies this year, but that one was the one that I keep going back to. And it's the most non-Western thing I've watched in this last year. But anyway, we're on Horses on Film. You can find us on our YouTube. You can find us on Letterboxd, Horses on Film. I'm reading everyone's reviews of every movie we cover, and it's been so fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. Yep. YouTube.com. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have Horses on Film on Instagram. It's Horses on Film Podcast. On there, I'm putting my little video intros up there. So if you're only listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that's where you get a chance to watch the videos of every off Monday. Horsesonfilm.com. You can get on there. All our episodes are listed. And horsesonfilm@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us what's another Western you want to see us cover. We're going to get into all our bonus episodes, and we're watching Westerns until the cows come home. But I want to thank everyone and especially Dave, Scott. Thanks for coming on this journey. Kevin, thanks for coming back, and I can't wait to have you back again. This has been great. And thanks for Kevin. Thanks for recommending this movie to me in the first place. It was one of the impetus of why I started this podcast to begin with. I love the idea of people bringing movies into our lives, bringing directors that we weren't familiar with into our lives, and being able to really dig into all of them. It's been great. So
excellent. Glad you liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And let's get that theme song from Brett Alec Bailey up there. And it's always a nice way to end the episode. Thanks so much, y'all. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for The Settlers.
Take care, guys.
Bye.